There was a hunter, a simple man of the forest. He had no army, no kingdom, nor any special knowledge. That day, he was just hungry and wandering in search of prey. And in that wandering, one of his arrows, without any intent, without knowing, touched those feet upon which Lakshmi herself resides. This was no coincidence, nor was it misfortune. It was the final line of a story written an entire age ago, one that simply had to be fulfilled. Today, we will understand the moment when an unknown forest dweller unknowingly became history's most profound character, and the truth hidden in that moment. It might just be the most vital truth of our own lives as well. The great war of Kurukshetra had come to an end. The 5 Pandavas had achieved victory. Dharma had been re-established. But as grand as this moment of victory was, it was equally heavy. Those who won also looked as if they had lost something, and those who lost, their mothers were still weeping. Among those mothers was Gandhari, mother of 100 sons, who spent her entire life blindfolded so that, like her husband, her world too would remain dark. But the eyes within were not closed, and those eyes had seen every death of the war, one by one. When Krishna came to her with consolation, the flame that had been suppressed within her for months burst forth. She said, "You are omniscient, Krishna. You could have stopped it." You did not stop it, and from her words a curse emerged. Just as the Kuru dynasty was wiped out by its own, so too shall the Yadu clan be destroyed by its own hands. Gandhari's grief was real, her anger was real, and Krishna understood it. He remained silent, because before such grief, any logic would be trivial. But when he heard that curse, he only said this,
"So be it. This is the decree of time, Gandhari, and I accept it."
He could have stopped the curse, but he did not, because Krishna knew the Yadu clan, having reached its peak, was drowned in ego. No external enemy could defeat it. Destruction had to come from within, and he knew. They knew that this was only right. 36 years passed. In Dwarka, the glory of the Yadu clan kept growing. There was power, respect, and wealth. But when a clan grows so great that it sees no one above itself, an internal rot begins to fester. That rot stems from ego, and the first sign of ego is to look down upon others. In those days, some great sages visited Dwarka: Vishwamitra, Durvasa, Narada, Vashistha, and others. Some youths of the Yadu clan saw them, and a thought crossed their minds. They dressed Krishna's son, Samba, as a woman, wrapped cloth around his belly to make him look pregnant, and taking him to the sages, they asked,
"Great sage, she is in labor. Tell us, will it be a son or a daughter?"
They thought it was just a game, nothing more than a bit of fun. But what they did not realize was that, in their play, they were actually pulling on a thread that was tied to their entire family lineage. The sages' eyes were closed, but their vision could see what ordinary eyes never could. They spoke not with anger, but with a terrifying stillness.
"From Samba's womb an iron rod shall be born, and that very rod will bring about the destruction of your entire Yadu clan."
The next day, that iron rod truly appeared. Fear spread. King Ugrasena gave the order, grind it into powder and cast it into the sea. And so it was done. But there is one thing most people don't know. That iron powder was not destroyed. The ocean waves brought it back to the shore, and it merged into the soil. From that soil grew reeds, looking like grass, but as hard on the inside as that cursed iron was. And a large piece of that rod, which wasn't fully ground, sank into the depths of the sea. There, a fish swallowed it. That fish got caught in a net one day. That net belonged to a hunter. The hunter cut the fish open and saw that piece of iron, sharp, strong, and he thought this could become an arrowhead. He didn't know for whom that arrowhead was being made. Destiny is never in a hurry. It does its work quietly, slowly, without any noise, until one day everything suddenly comes to light. Krishna saw ill omens in Dwarka. The boundaries of the sea began to move inward. At night, birds from the cremation grounds began to roam the city. Strange colors began to fill the sky. Krishna gathered the Yadu clan and said,
"Let us go to Prabhas Tirtha. We shall bathe and earn merit."
Outwardly it was a pilgrimage. Inwardly, Krishna knew this was the final journey. The Yadu clan reached the shores of Prabhas. There was celebration, feasting, and wine. As the wine took hold, everything suppressed for years began to surface. Old insults, old jealousies, old wounds. It began with a taunt, then a blow, and then those reeds were raised. The very reeds that grew from the powder of that cursed iron. The moment they were grasped with intent to kill, they became harder than iron. Brother struck brother, friend killed friend. Krishna's sons, his nephews, his generals, all kept killing one another with those reeds. Krishna was there. He tried to stop them, but after a point he ceased, for he knew this was not the result of the curse, but the fruit of the clan's own karma, and the fruit of karma must be endured, even if God himself stands before you. Soon, the shore of Prabhas fell silent. The Yadu clan, which no external enemy could ever destroy, perished at its own hands. After that destruction, Balarama went and sat by a tree. His face was calm, no sorrow, no fear, no agitation, just a profound preparation. He slowed his breath and delved deep within, to a depth no physical body can reach, and then, from his mouth, a divine white serpent emerged and glided toward the sea. Sheshnag was returning to his original form. This was not death, it was a homecoming. Now Krishna was truly alone. He summoned his charioteer, Daruka, who had stood by him in every battle, whose eyes were now filled with tears. Krishna said to him,
"Go to Hastinapur, tell Arjuna, everything is finished, and whoever remains, women, children, the elderly, take them away. Dwarka will soon be swallowed by the sea."
Daruka was silent. He had no words. Krishna looked at him and smiled, that same smile of his, which held no restlessness, no regret. Daruka departed and Krishna turned toward the forest. Alone. Without a chariot? Without anyone. In the forest stood a peepal tree, ancient, massive, like a witness to the ages. Under that peepal tree, Krishna sat down. Around him lay his own weapons, as if they too wished to be with him in that final moment. His dark-complexioned body glowed in the light of that evening. The yellow robes, the peacock feather, the Kaustubha gem, all just as they always were. He entered into a state of deep yogic meditation. The reddish-pink glow of his foot was slightly visible from behind a bush. Far away in that same forest, there was a hunter. His name was Jara. In Sanskrit, Jara means old age, the time when life reaches its twilight. Perhaps that is why one with this name was destined to be the final character of this tale. Jara had been wandering for hours that day. He had found nothing. And then he saw something near the bush, a movement, a reddish-pink shape that looked like a deer's face. He stopped. He reached for his quiver. He pulled out the arrow whose tip was forged from that iron, which had come from a fish's belly, which was a fragment of a cursed staff, born from the womb of a prank. The bow was drawn. The arrow was released. And it struck those feet before which even the gods bow their heads. Jara came running. He went past the bush, and the sight that was before him, it pulled the ground out from under his feet. He fell. His hands joined in prayer. He began to weep. The kind of weeping that comes when a person realizes the depth of their mistake in a single moment. Only one thing escaped his lips.
What have I done? Please forgive me.
Krishna looked toward him, and what was in his eyes? It wasn't anger. It wasn't pain. It was a peace that comes when one knows that everything is happening exactly as it was meant to be. He said,
Rise, friend, do not fear. What you have done you did not do. This was my will alone. You are merely the instrument that I myself had chosen.
Then Krishna told Jara something that he would never have even imagined in his dreams.
Do you know who you were before? In the Treta Yuga, you were Vali, the king of Kishkinda, immensely powerful. And in that age, I was Rama. When you and Sugriva were fighting, I struck you with an arrow while hiding behind a tree. A part of that karma remained unfinished. Today, that karma has come full circle, through your arrow. This was not an act of revenge. It was the fulfillment of karma, and I accept it.
Then he gave Jara his blessing.
Go where the virtuous souls reside. Go there.
Jara circumambulated Krishna, bowed, and a divine chariot carried him away. Once again, silence fell over the forest. Krishna was alone, and in that solitude he departed from his mortal form, like a traveler setting down his burden after a long journey. No pain, no struggle, just a peaceful, complete, and effortless farewell. That was the final moment of the Dwapara Yuga, and from that very spot, the first moment of the Kali Yuga began. Meanwhile, Daruka reached Hastinapur. He told Arjuna everything. The destruction of Dwarka, Balarama's departure, and the passing of Krishna. Upon hearing this, it was as if time stood still for the Pandavas. Arjuna rushed to Dwarka, but what he found there was only a void. Dwarka, once the city of gold, was now sinking into the sea. The same Arjuna, whose name made great warriors tremble, who had defeated warriors like Karna in the Mahabharata, and whose charioteer was God himself, he gathered the survivors of Dwarka, the women, the children, and the elderly, and set out with them toward Hastinapur. But on the way they were surrounded by bandits. They were no great army, no wielders of divine weapons, no legendary warriors, just a few ordinary, untrained men. Arjuna raised his bow, Gandiva, and then, for the first time, he felt something he had never even imagined. The mantras that once flowed effortlessly to his lips were forgotten. The divine weapons that appeared at his call. Today, they would not answer. He released his arrows. Ordinary arrows that remained just that, ordinary. The bandits stormed the caravan and plundered everything. Right there in Arjuna's presence, right before his eyes. Arjuna somehow managed to lead the survivors to Hastinapur. There, he crowned Krishna's grandson, Vajra, as king. This was the final formal act of an era. Later, he went to see sage Vyasa. He still had the same Gandiva, the same powerful arms, the same eyes. But inside there was an emptiness he had never known before. He turned to sage Vyasa and asked, Maharishi, what has happened to me? The Maharishi's answer was simple, yet its depth was infinite.
As long as Krishna was with you, you were Arjuna. The power that seemed to be yours was actually his. Now that he is gone, that power is gone too.
That day, Arjuna understood for the first time. His bow was never truly his. His glory was never truly his. It was all just a shadow of a divine presence, which has now departed. When everything came to an end, the Pandavas looked at one another. Now they had nothing left at all. No war, no purpose, no Krishna. They made a decision. Now it is time to depart. They renounced the kingdom and set out towards the Himalayas. One final journey, where there was no war and no victory. Only detachment. Today, there is no one in that forest. But in the roots of that peepal tree, perhaps something still remains. That touch, that presence, which was there for just a brief moment. This story is not just a mythological event, it is a mirror to our lives. Karma spares no one, not the king, not the warrior, not even the incarnation of God himself. The arrow shot by Rama at Vali returned to Krishna's feet ages later. Because karma does not look at the cause, it only looks at the deed. The Yadava clan was not destroyed by an external enemy, but by its own ego and internal fire. Jara was merely an instrument of destiny, and Krishna gave him liberation, not punishment. Because compassion goes even beyond justice. So the question today is simply this: the power, the talent, and the success that you have in your life, is it truly yours? Or is it the gift of an unseen hand that holds you without ever telling you? Because the day that hand is withdrawn, even a great warrior like Arjuna was left helpless before ordinary bandits. This story is not meant to frighten, it is meant to remind us that forgetting to thank the one who holds us is the greatest mistake of all. Hail Lord Krishna,